Okay guys, hi, it's Mr. B here, and today in this video we're going to be looking at main clauses and subordinating clauses. We're going to be looking at what they are and how to be able to spot them. Okay, so first we're going to go straight on our main clause. Now a main clause, every single sentence has a main clause. It's the main idea of that sentence. Okay, now with a main clause, it can make sense on its own. So a main clause in every sentence and makes sense on its own. Let's have a look at a couple of examples. So we have a simple one here. I drive a car. We played football. Those make sense on their own. Now, if you have a sentence that just has one main clause, it is what we call a simple sentence. Now, it's called that mainly because they're basically quite simple. All right. So it makes sense on their own, and they're in every sentence. Okay. Now, we have another example here. We have two. We have I like cheese. I don't like tomato. Two separate main clauses as sentences. Now, we don't have to have only one main clause in a sentence. We can have more than one. If you look just underneath that, I've joined them. So I have I like cheese, which is our first sentence, but I don't like tomato. So rather than having two sentences, we've got join them together with this word. Now, this word is what we call a coordinating conjunction. Okay, and the easy way to remember all the coordinating conjunctions are the word fanboys. Okay, we have for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. They are the coordinating conjunctions that can be used to join two sentences together. Okay, so use one of these words. You have things I could have had I like cheese and I like tomato. You can have cheese or you can have tomato. That would have joined my two main clauses to make one sentence. What you'll also notice as well is at the start here, we've replaced the full stop with a comma. So if you join these two sentences, two main clauses, you need to have a coordinating conjunction and you need to replace the full stop with a comma. Now, if you have a sentence that has two main clauses in, joined by a coordinating conjunction, that is what we call a compound sentence. Okay, so easiest way to spot a main clause is it will make sense on its own. Okay, so now we're going to look at subordinating clauses. Now, a subordinating clause is a clause that doesn't make sense on its own. That is the key thing to recognising them and using them. Okay, so subordinating clause needs a main clause. So every sentence will have a main clause. Remember we said that earlier. Every sentence will have its main clause. If you have a subordinating clause, it will be a part of the sentence that doesn't make sense on its own. Let's have a look. Okay, so I have a sentence here. Mr. B went to school despite the wind and rain. First, let's spot the main clause. Remember, main clause makes sense on its own. Have a look and you think what it is. Okay, our main clause is here. Mr. B went to school. It's a full idea. It makes sense on its own. That could be a sentence. Mr. B went to school could be a sentence on its own. So this part here is a subordinating clause. Okay, so despite the wind and rain. Okay, so it doesn't just have to go at the end though. Okay, so we're going to have a look at the same sentence but with the subordinating clause in different positions. Okay, so we've got the same sentence here. Mr. B went to school, so that's our main clause. And we've got the despite the wind and rain as our subordinating clause, but this time it's at the front. Notice when it's at the front of the sentence, we need a comma before our main clause comes in. Okay, so we've had it at this end, had it at the start. Let's have a look at it as an embedded clause, so in the actual main clause. So, Mr. B went to school. Our main clause is still there, the main idea of our sentence. Here is our subordinating clause, despite the wind and rain, in the middle. This time, notice we have a comma at the start and the end. So it signifies where our clause is. Now, as well as this, we don't just have to have one subordinating clause in a sentence. We have despite the wind and rain, which we know is our subordinating clause at the start. Then our main sentence here, Mr. B went to school. And then we have another subordinating clause after breakfast. Okay? So, easiest way to spot them. they don't make sense on their own. They are in with a main clause. Main clause makes sense on its own, subordinating doesn't. The reason we use them is because it adds extra information about our main clause, okay? So Mr. B went to school despite the wind and rain. It tells us more about the main clause, more about what's happening, okay? So it gives us extra information about the main clause. Now, if we have a sentence with a main clause and a subordinating clause, it becomes a complex sentence. So any sentence that has a main clause and a subordinating clause is a complex sentence. Now, another way to spot a subordinating clause, apart from it not making sense on its own, is looking for one of these guys, a subordinating conjunction. Okay, earlier on we looked at coordinating conjunctions, but now we're looking at subordinating conjunction, okay? These are words like because, after, which, if, when, and they're at the start of our subordinating clause. Now, they're usually at the start. Not all subordinating clauses have them, but they usually do. So it's a good indicator to look out for one of them. So we can see in our sentence we have despite, which is our subordinating conjunction, and then we have after as well. Now, I've got a couple there, but there are a lot more. So what I'm going to do in the description of the video, I'm going to leave a link to a list of different subordinating conjunctions. Now, I've had a little look over main clauses and subordinating clauses there. If you have any questions or anything like that, you can pop them down in the comments or leave a message on the Facebook or Twitter. If you know anyone that this might help, share it with them, of course. And if it's helped you, give it a like. And until next time, see you later.